Despite the Education Secretary's best attempts to rewrite history, on this side of the House, we didn't need a court to tell us that biological sex was real. The Education Secretary has got the draft guidance for schools on gender questioning on her desk. The final CAS report was a year ago. If she is serious about protecting women and girls, why hasn't she already published the guidance?
Laura Trott has all the sincerity of a Tory. Here she seems to present faux concern for the plight of women and children, with none of the passion and drive that makes you think that she's got anybody else's interests to heart except her own. In her hands, Parliament feels like a school debating club.
Mr. Speaker, I am serious about protecting the rights of women and girls. That's why I ran a women's refuge for children and women fleeing domestic abuse, fleeing male violence, fleeing some of the most unimaginable abuse that anyone could ever see. I need no lessons on the importance of such provision. But, Mr. Speaker, she asks a specific question, and I will answer it. This is a sensitive area. We are talking about children's well-being, often very vulnerable children experiencing distress. And whilst I recognise the important need to provide clarity for school leaders and the guidance that they do need, we have to get this right. And I would just say to her that it was only a matter of months before the general election that the party opposite published draft guidance for consultation. It is right that we take stock following the full and final review from Dr. Cass, which we accept and should be the basis of how we take things forward.
Here we go, here's Trott's comeback, and it's interesting how Bridget Phillipson responds, almost weary having to contend with, as she puts it, opportunism, basically point scoring over culture war issues. And in Trott's case, she seems to be using those issues in an attempt to move her profile and career upwards, when in effect it seems to be moving backwards.
Or a Trott.
That draft guidance was a year and a half ago. And the Education Secretary wants to talk about her record. Well, let me remind the Education Secretary that one of her first acts when she came into post was pausing the Free Speech Act that would have protected gender-critical voices. She's more concerned about listening to student union activists than women. Will the Education Secretary now apologise to these gender-critical women who are forced to spend eye-watering sums on legal fees fighting for their rights due to her actions?
Mr. Speaker, from that question, I don't think you really know who was in government for the last 14 years. They had ample opportunity to clarify the position. And actually, the ruling of the Supreme Court was that Labour's 2010 Equality Act was the basis for their judgment that confirmed that biological sex should be for the provision of single-sex services. But alongside that, they were also clear that everyone within our country deserves to be treated with dignity and respect, and that trans people continue to receive protection within law. The party opposite published guidance a matter of months before the general election in draft form. It is right that we take this issue seriously, that we get it right. We don't need this shameless opportunism. This is children's well-being.
Click here for the sheer cheek of shameful and shameless Tory Laura Trott.